Most welcome, anytime.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to a CareerFoundry Skills Workshop. I'm William, Communications and Events Lead here at CareerFoundry, and I'm very, very happy to welcome back once again Dr. Humera, who is a CareerFoundry mentor, but is also a machine learning engineer, currently visiting Berlin. So we're both in Berlin at the moment, in different places, but both in the same city. And this evening, once again, we're going to be doing a skills workshop, an introduction to data analytics, where we're going to take you through the data process, basically right from the beginning, from the data cleaning to the end, where we're going to have some visualizations. So it's condensing the whole process into one workshop. Now, we love to see everybody join these events. So in the right-hand side on Big Marker, we have a public chat. If you just drop your name, where you're joining from, and maybe why you're interested in data analytics. We love to see everyone joining, where you're from, and also we love to see why you're interested in maybe making a career change into data analytics. So I just popped that in the chat there. Before we start, I'll very, very briefly introduce CareerFoundry. We are an online school for career change. We were established in 2013, and we have an array of different programs, but tonight's on data, where we take people from scratch, we give them the in-demand skills, and we land them their dream career in tech. But we don't leave people on their own. We have a dual mentorship model. So everybody in one of our main career change programs gets a mentor and a tutor. And as you progress through the program, you also get a lot of help from our career services team to help you land that job in tech. So that's a little bit about CareerFoundry. We've also got a job guarantee too. But if you've got any questions about that, I would definitely recommend booking a call with a program advisor. A couple of house rules this evening. Humera is going to go through the presentation and also show you how to, interpret this data as we're going along. If you've got any specific questions at the time, just pop them in the chat. But if you've got any more general questions about the industry or salaries or anything like that, drop them in the chat, and I'm going to reappear at the end, and we're going to have a live Q&A to get all of those questions answered. Also, for all of those people watching on YouTube and LinkedIn, we'll get those questions answered too. So I've spoken a lot. Humera, I think I'm going to pass the floor over to you, and I'm going to disappear into the background. And yeah, everybody enjoyed tonight's session. Humera, over to you.
Thank you very much, Will, and hello everyone from Berlin. So let me give you one-liner introduction to myself. This is Humera, a data enthusiast, a teaching enthusiast. I started my career in the academia and started teaching machine learning and artificial intelligence and programming, software development, and did my doctorate on the way. And once all that was done, then I moved to the industry and am applying all those principles that I learned related to data and machine learning into real world applications. And I'm super, super, super excited to be here and sharing my knowledge with you. And I today want to take you through an introduction to data analytics from a very practical point of view. Because the reason is many people think that when they hear about machine learning and data, they think it's a lot of programming, it's a lot of mathematics, and they just get scared out of it. So first thing I want you to rest assured, and not just theoretically rest assured, but also we will see this practically, that it's not a very daunting task. So first of all, we need to make sure that you understand that working with data and doing data analysis is very different from doing machine learning and applying complicated maths on top of it. So to get started into data analytics, all you need is some analytical skills, some problem solving skills, good observation, and there is a straightforward pipeline that you need to follow. And if you follow those rules properly, then you are very good to go. And the data can actually tell you so much about the problems that often we don't need to apply complicated stuff. So a lot of theory here. I'll now move to the next slide, and I'll tell you what we are going to cover and how does a typical data analytics pipeline look like. So it's typically a 5-step process. there is a sixth step where you decide that this is a problem that you want to solve, and afterwards you start solving that problem. So this is the pipeline. So as I said, the zeroth step is you have a problem and you want to solve that problem, and to solve that problem you need data. Now what could be that problem? That problem could be anything. If And that's the beauty of data analytics, that you can actually apply it to whatever domain you want to, whatever domain you are passionate about, whatever domain you would like to work on. Because let me give you a few examples of what is data. So imagine you want to check weather forecast. Has anyone ever checked weather forecast? Well, those in Germany or in Europe, they do it on a daily basis. Sometimes we need to do it several times in a day, that how the weather looks like towards the end of the day or in 1 hour or 2 hours from now. And what is weather? These temperatures, and how is this calculated? This is data. Have you ever checked your navigation? Like another example, have you tried to go from one location to another and checked how do I reach there? How does the traffic look like? That's another example of data. Have you ever went to Google and searched for something? As soon as you type something in there, you are producing data. Have you ever used Facebook? If not Facebook, maybe any other social media. Uh, every like that you do, every comment that you do, every sharing that you do, and even if you don't do anything, if you visit a news article and there is a Facebook like button over there, you are generating data for that. So, long story short, you actually see data not only in the online world, but in the real offline world as well. Healthcare, your medical history, and not only a person's medical history, rather any research that's happening about medication, that's generating data. You talk about stock markets, you talk about cryptocurrency, all the data points, the prices, high, low, getting in, getting out, that's data. So now I think I have given you enough examples of what actually constitutes a data, and the aspect zero, point number zero, that there is a requirement to, you have data and you want to do something with it. Now let's move on to this pipeline. And the first step that we see here is data collection. So you have a problem to solve, you need data so that you can get insights. So you collect data. Sometimes data sets are available online and you can get them by downloading the data sets that are already out there. Sometimes you have to put sensors and record the data yourself. So you can have it as simple as possible or as complicated as possible. Next, the data that you'll collect is not necessarily clean. It will have problems. There will be duplicates. There will be missing values. There will be different formats. So, somebody, for example, in Europe, we write date first, then month, and then year. In the US, we write month first, day next, and year afterwards. And if you put all that data together, then you don't know if you 04/10 means April 10th or October 4th. So you need to make sure that you are consistent in your data formatting. And all this comes under data cleaning up. Once you have the data cleaned up, you are happy with, there are no missing values, etc., then you move towards some descriptive analysis. This is where you find out just a bird's eye view into the data and see what does the descriptive analysis tells you. If I get the minimum value and maximum value out of the data points, do I get some information? If I sort the data in alphabetical order or in numerical order, does that tell me something? And once this is already a huge piece of information that we can get when we are working on data. And once we pass this step, then we do go a bit deeper and try to ask questions and get answers. Finally, once we have those answers, we move towards visualizing those answers and tell a story around those findings. So let's actually move towards this kind of analysis and look at these steps in a little bit more detail. And I'm starting with the first step, which is getting the data. And getting the data, as I said, there are a huge number of resources available online. Actually, CareerFoundry published a blog, which is an awesome blog about finding data sets. So if you are new to the industry and you are not trying to gather the data yourself, you can just download some existing data sets. And in this blog, and maybe Will can share the link to the blogs if not done already, you can actually find out the resources where you can see those data sets. To begin with, Google is a very good resource to find such data sets. I'll actually show you quickly. Let me share the screen, 10 great places to find data sets. So one of the first things that you can do is just go to Google and search for, I want to search for weather related data sets or movie related data sets. So just search for it, or as we can see here, price of coffee data set. Of course, you might be yourself or working for someone who wants to sell coffee and open a coffee shop, and they want to see how is the trend when it comes to coffee prices. Does this business make sense or not, and so on and so forth. You might be a trader who wants to invest in coffee related stocks. So as simple as it sounds, it has a lot of applications, a simple data set. Another one, which is one of the favorites of data scientists and data analysts, is Kaggle. And in fact, our data set from today is also coming from Kaggle, which is a portal for data people to come together. There are a lot of data sets out there. People have worked on those data sets. People have given their solutions there. So you can not only get data from there, but you can also get insights on what you can do with this data. You can compare your results with other people's results, and so on and so forth. And you can actually look at the rest of the blog and find more generic and more specific data sources. I'll move to the next slide, and I'll come to our data set that we are going to explore today. So as I said, the data set that we are going to use today is coming from Kaggle. It's already there in your this big marker portal, so you can download it from there already. And if you don't have it, then you can actually go to Kaggle and kaggle.com /datasets and search for food delivery system dataset. The first step that you need to do once you know which dataset you need to work on is to download it. So you have it already in the portal. I downloaded it from here, and it just got downloaded as a file name called archive. We are actually done with the first step, that we just downloaded it. Now you need to open it in one of the data processing tools. Commonly available tools are tools like Google Sheet, free of cost. If you have a Google account, you can simply go to your account and start working on it. If you have Microsoft Excel already on your computer, you can open it in Excel as well, or sometimes uh, even as a text file. But since you need to work and apply formulas and do some numerical methods on it, a tool like Google Sheet or Excel is the right tool to use. In today's session, we are going to use Google Sheets just because it's online, it's there for free, and it's easy to access. So what we are going to do is we will go to Google Sheet and we will import the data that we just downloaded in there. So now I am sharing my screen again. I am now opening a new tab, and on the top there are Google Apps that you see. You click on there and you go to Sheets. In case you don't have a Google account, you can actually like I have an account, so I'm in there. If not, you can simply create a new account by clicking on the top right corner. So since we have an account, we come to Sheets and we open a blank sheet now. So this is a blank sheet. Now what I need to do is the data set that I have just downloaded, I will open it. So I go to File and I open. When I open it, I want to upload it from my computer. So I click Upload and it says select a file from your device. And from here, the data set that we just downloaded is called food delivery. So we search for food delivery.xls and we open it. It will upload it. It will make sure that all the columns are in the right places, and we see it. It's ready to be worked on. So with this, we come to the end of our first step. We have collected the data that we wanted to work on, and now we can start working on it. So now we move to step number 2, cleaning the data. Of course, to clean the data, you need to see it. So now let's go and check out how does our data look like and what are the problems with it so that we can clean it up a little bit. More specifically, the three things that we will be focusing on right now is checking out duplicates, checking out if there are missing values, and checking out if the data is in the right format. There is one thing which is very important, and the thing that is very important is that this is not a sequential process that, okay, now I have cleaned the data and now I move to step number 3. I will never have to clean the data anymore. This is not true. You will have to go through all these first few steps again and again, and this is part of your journey. So never think about that, hey, I want to go to the real analysis. I don't want to waste quote unquote time in cleaning the data. No, don't go with this mindset. It's very important that your data is really clean. And if you have to go back to this step and clean it again and again, just do it. I'll now go and start looking at the data. So this is how our data set looks like. We have a few parameters. What are the parameters? The different columns are actually our parameters. And how many are these? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 parameters: name, age, number of orders in a month, effect of COVID-19 on food ordering habits, average order value, preference for online payment, and average delivery time and average fee charged. So this is our data. And how many data points do we have? So we have 8 parameters as we just saw. So now let's see how many data points do we have. Data points are the number of rows that we have, and it starts with 2, and I'm scrolling down, and it ends at 446. So 446 minus 1, because the first one is a heading, there are 445 data points. So it's a good data set. What do we know about this data set? So there is age, and we see that, okay, name, not important for us because that might not help us in any analysis. But age is, okay, 18 to 30, below 18, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, and so on and so forth. And then we have number of orders in a month. So this is a numerical value, and some people ordered 3 times, 4 times, 10 times, 8 times, etc. And then we have effect of COVID-19 on food ordering habits. Right now, we do not know what does 1 mean and what does 5 mean here. This is one of the things that you need to take care of when you are generating data. So you need to have an explanation file, a dictionary that says 1 means there was no effect on food ordering habits, and 5 means there was a huge effect on habits. And then there is average order value, there is so on and so forth. Now let's start looking at how we can clean the data. And the newer versions of Google is actually giving some suggestions, data cleanup suggestions. You see this as soon as we imported the data. So you can actually check what suggestions are there, but if you don't want to see them, you can just close them, and you can actually check them later as well, and I'll show you how and where. We want to be focused on duplicates. So let's check out the duplicates and try to remove them. So how you do that? First of all, you select the data, and you do this by clicking on the top left corner of your screen, and then you go to data and you go to data cleanup. And that's the beauty of current day tools, that you don't have to do everything manually from scratch. The tools actually help you to do that. So you need to know what you want to do, how to do it, and doing it is what the tool will take care of. And as you can see, the same cleanup suggestions are here as well, so you can check those as well. But we want to remove the duplicates, so we click on that. It asks us which columns to check, so we are checking all the columns. We specify that the data has a header row, so as soon as I click it, you will see that the names are there, and I remove duplicate. And it says that two duplicate rows were found and removed. Tada! That's it. Like, I didn't have to look for duplicates in my data myself, because the tool would do it, and that's so convenient. What else do we want to do? Let's see what are the suggestions in here. So I click on the cleanup suggestions and I say, okay, removing the duplicates was one of the suggestions, but there is another suggestion that there are a lot of white spaces at the end, and that may affect your data quality. We don't want to have white spaces at the end, so we can just click trim all and ignore all the white spaces at the end. So this happened in 85 cells, and it actually fixed it. So remove duplicates, we are already done, and we are done with cleanup. Now I close this. So that's basically how you do cleanup. But there is one little thing that I would like to do as well. Um, our analysis becomes easier when it comes to numerical values. What does that mean? That means that what is numerical data? Numerical data is when it's related to numbers, and numbers has this property that a higher number is more than a lower number. Sounds common sense, but imagine if I say, let's check this: average delivery fee charged. We as human beings are very intelligent, and we know that 50 to 75 is a range which is higher than 25 to 50, because we just know it. We know the background. We know that 25 is a number, 50 is a number, and this space and dash in between doesn't change the numeric properties. But for a computer, it's not clear. For a computer, 25 is a number, 50 is a number, but 25 to 50, this range, that doesn't remain as a number. So how about we do a little cleanup of the data, and instead of having these values as text, change them into numbers. So what we can do, I have already selected this. Let's apply some finding replacing kind of formula. Let me show you what I mean. So what I want to do is I want to replace all the below 25 with 25, so that the computer, the machine would know that we are talking about one concrete value, 25. It won't worry about 25 or below 25 thing. I cannot and I do not want to do this manually, so I'll simply use the find and replace function. So what I'm doing here is I selected this column, because whatever I'm doing, I want to apply this on the whole data set, on the whole column. And I go into edit and say find replace. What do I want to find? I want to find below 25. What do I want to replace it with? I want to replace it with 25. And I say replace all. So there were 98 instances of below 25, which it replaced with 25. So now you will not find any more below 25 in this column. Similarly, I want to take all the 25 to 50, I select it and I copy it. You can use the keyboard combination, or you can click click on the cell and say copy here. So anyways, and then select the column and then go to edit, find and replace. Find what 25 to 50, replace it with 50, and then replace all. So you see all the 25 to 50 is now replaced with 50. Of course, we are losing some information because the data was not exactly 50, but for the sake of analysis, we find it better that it's rather be 50 than 25 to 50. And now I'll go quickly and we'll do the same for 50 to 75. I selected that, copied it, selected the whole column, and then find and replace. I want to replace 50 to 75 with 75. Replace all. Done. Anything else left? Uh, yeah, 75 to 100 is also left. Select that, select the column, go to edit, find and replace 75 to 100 with 100 and replace all and done. And now hopefully there is no more non-numerical value in this column. And yeah, so I am now hopefully done with cleanup. I'll check what is the next thing. I think we are good. Duplicates, missing values, missing values. Let's remove our missing values. So at a first glance, we do not see anything missing in our data set. But as I scroll below, I see a lot of blank values actually in the sheet. So let me just select from first till the last all the blank rows. So from first and I select the last one, I select the all the blank rows with a shift and then I click on the column and say delete rows, and now I don't have any blank uh, rows. I don't have any blank rows anymore. What's next? That was the cleanup step. And I really want to highlight that this has taken up half of our time already. We are almost half an hour into this webinar, but this is actually intentional. Your most of the time in real data analysis will actually be spent in all these cleaning up activities. But now let's move on to the next one and we go to the descriptive analysis. Descriptive analysis means try to find out some properties of the data. And as you can imagine, getting an average, getting the minimum, maximum sorting data, this is something which is more numerical aspects of the data. And yes, textual aspects tell us a lot, but maybe we can talk about it later on. For this exercise that we are doing right now, we need numerical data. So let's go ahead and check out some descriptive information of our data set. It's always a good idea to name your files and name your data sets, sheets properly. So as you can see on the top left, it's food delivery because we opened it. Let's rename this sheet by double clicking on the sheet name and we call it as data. And let's add a new sheet and there we will store our descriptive information. So you just saw what I did here. I clicked on this plus button, it added a sheet, and now I'll double click and I'll rename this sheet to, let's say, descriptive analysis. And what do we want to do? We want to maybe calculate the average of our what? Let's take number of orders in a month, and we want to get, let's say, average, minimum, maximum of number of orders. So we are talking about number of orders, and we are getting the average, the minimum, the maximum of this. How do you do that? Again, the tool actually helps you. The way you calculate some formulas in Google Sheet or Excel is you start by typing an equal to, and then you specify what do you want to calculate. So we want to calculate average, so I start typing average, and you can see that as I type average, there is a but menu which opens up and I can select that, okay, I want to calculate the average. So this is the one that I want to calculate. And then it opens a bracket. And in bracket, I specify the data for whom I want to calculate the average. So where is my data? It's in the data sheet. So I go to the data sheet and I want to calculate the average of number of orders, all the number of orders. So I select the whole column by clicking on the C above, and as soon as I selected that, it got highlighted. And here you can actually see, not this, that equals to average. This is what we typed. Bracket opens. In the data sheet, select the whole column C and then close this bracket and hit enter. And now you got a number 4.875. So the number of average orders that all the customers together are making is 4.87. Fair enough. Let's practice it a little bit more and let's calculate the minimum. So how do you calculate the minimum? Same way, you start with equal to, and now you want to calculate minimum. So type minimum, MIN, and that's the function used to calculate minimum. That's the right one. You hit enter, it gives an open bracket. So where is the data? It's in the other sheet. You go to the other sheet, you select the column, you hit closing bracket, and you hit enter. And what do we get here? This is 0. How can we have customers who are placing 0 orders in a month? There might be some kind of problem in data collection, but how do I uncover that? How do I find those zeros? Now, there are two ways I can actually find those zeros. One is I sort the data. I can sort this whole sheet with respect to number of orders in a month, and sorting will give me zeros, ones, twos, threes, fours. The other thing that I can do is not sort the data, but filter the data. So I can say, I don't want to see anything other than the zeros in my data set. I can apply a filter. So let me show you how both of these would work. Let me first show you how you create a filter to only select a or only filter a selected value. You select your data first, the whole data, and you do it by clicking on this box on the top left. You go to data. You go to data and you click on create a filter. So as soon as you click on that, you see this filter like button on top of each column name. So where do we want to create a filter? So we want to create a filter in the number of orders in a month, this column. So I click this filter button. So as soon as I do it, it asks me, what do you want to see? So first of all, I'll clear anything that was already there and I say, I only want to see zeros. So I click 0 and I hit OK. And now I only see those rows where there is a 0. What I can do with it, I can decide later on. But just to make my point clear, you can create filters to filter out certain values. You can remove the filter by following the same process. You go to the filter and you say, I want to now select all. When you select everything, it means you are not filtering anything. So you are letting everything pass. And you click OK, and it's all back. So this is how you can create filters to see specific values. The other thing that we saw you can use to let the zeros out is select the data again, go to data and sort the range. And you go to the advanced range sorting options. Your data has a header row. So as soon as you click it, instead of seeing column A, B, C, you see name, orders, age. And now you want to sort with respect to number of orders in a month. And you go with A to Z. A to Z would mean 0 first, then 1, then 2, ascending order. Descending order would be maximum first, 10, 9, 8, 7. So we want to see A to Z. We sort. As soon as you click that, you see that all your zeros are on the top, then all the ones, then all the twos, threes, fours, etc. What you want to do with this data is totally up to you as a data analyst. You can delete those data points. You can find an average and replace that with the data, or you can go to the source and say, hey, for these customers I have wrong information, please give me right information. So depending on how much accuracy do you want, how much time you want to spend, you can actually decide what do you want to do with these erroneous entries. For the sake of time right now, we will just delete them, but you can be more mindful and not just delete everything that's wrong. Try to fix things before getting rid of them. So I have now removed zero and I go back to my descriptive analysis, and now I see that yes, the minimum value is 1. And please notice that now the average has also increased. It's not that 4 point something anymore, it's 5.05. Anyways, let's go back and now calculate the maximum. And now it's easy. You start typing max, you give the bracket, you go to your data column, you go to your data sheet, you select the column C, you close the bracket, you hit enter, and the maximum number of orders placed by your customer is 10. So as you saw, this descriptive analysis actually gives you an idea of how your data looks like. So the bad data points get filtered out. And although you are in descriptive analysis, you are still cleaning up the data. So that's actually very important. And now we are done with cleaning up the data and doing descriptive analysis on the data. Now let's move to the next step, which is doing exploratory analysis. And now you are like really digging deeper. When you do the exploratory analysis, you are exploring the data. But there is this very important point that you need to know. What are you exploring actually? Who are you? Who are you exploring data for? And this is actually guides you into what kind of exploration you need to do. So first of all, identify the scope of decision. Are you doing this analysis for marketing or sales or business or tech? Because marketing might be interested in knowing different things and tech might be interested in knowing different things. Once you know for whom you are doing the analysis, then what you ask to do that analysis changes. For example, as we see here, let's say the marketing team is interested in knowing who I should market to. Should I market to a certain age group? Should I market to below 18 people? Should I market to above 50 people? Who should I market to? Sales might be interested in knowing not at all, nothing about marketing. They might be interested in knowing, should I open more shops in a certain region? Should I add more bikers in a certain region, riders in a certain region? Tech might be interested in knowing, should I add more servers just by looking at this data? So, who your audience is and what are you trying to decide? Identify that. And based on who your audience is, let's say it's marketing, you then decide, okay, marketing wants to know who I should target for my loyalty program. You need to ask certain questions. And those questions are we trying to address people on age, basis of age? Are we trying to address them based on number of orders that they are placing? Are we trying to market people who are ordering above a certain amount? Are we targeting people who are uh, waiting for a long time while the food is delivered? Who our audience is? What the marketing teams wants to know. So now that we know that we need to target for loyalty program, we can ask ourselves, what's the trend in the data? So bringing it all together. So let's say our marketing team wants to know which age groups should be targeted for marketing. Now they have specified I want to know about age groups. Now you ask yourself further questions. Can I give a age group trend to my marketing people? At least find out how the customers are distributed with respect to age. And then what is their ordering habits? So let's stick to these two questions. What is the age group trend and what are their ordering habits? So let's go and try to find these answers. So if you notice so far, finding your audience and asking the right questions is the most important parts of doing exploration. Because if you can ask the right questions, then you'll see that finding the answers is quite simple. And now let's find the answers. Age group trend and age group versus ordering habits. Let's do this. And how do we do this? So there is a tool in Sheets and in all these data analysis tools called pivot tables. And we will use pivot tables to find these answers. Remind me, what was the question? What is the age group trend that we have? This age group trend, this is actually giving us one important cue that age is the parameter that we are going to work on. So let's do this. I select the whole data set. I go to insert and I click on pivot table. It asks me where do I want to create the pivot table. So I specify that I want to create it in a new sheet. I create a new sheet. So it shows me a table and it asks me to fill it up. It might look a bit daunting, but don't worry. It as we'll do it, and that's why we will do it 2 times, so that first time you can get a hang of it and the second time it becomes more ingrained. Remind me, what was the question? What is an age group trend? How do you specify what is a trend? So maybe if I can specify what are the age groups that I have and how many orders have been placed in each age group, that would be a good start. So I want to specify the rows and the columns. I click on add rows and I specify age. So as soon as I do that, you see that this table got updated. And as soon as this table got updated, you see age, all the possible values that were there, 18 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, above 50, below 18 are there. Now, what do we want here? We want to know how many orders are each of these placing. How many orders? So we want to fill in value what orders. So number of orders is what I select. And what do I want to count? I want to count exactly what it showed here. If I would have said count, it would have simply said 18 to 30 appeared 293 times in the data set. But this is not right. People in the age group 18 to 30, how many times did they place orders? Remember, every entry in this column is actually more than one. So you add it and you get this answer that people in the age group 18 to 30 placed 1,511 orders in a month. 30 to 40 placed 190 orders in a month. 40 to 50 placed 253 orders in a month. And this is already a good insight that most of the orders are placed by people in the age group of 18 to 30. Do I want to target this loyal customer base, or do I want to target these people who do not order a lot and I want to get them to order more? That's a marketing decision that they can decide based on this information. They may say, no, this is not a relevant group for us. And they may say, 18 to 30, we don't need to market because they are already buying from us, ordering through us. So these are the questions that the marketing people will decide. But this information that we are providing them is actually helping them in supporting which age group customers I should target. Let's look at the other question that we said. Can we find out that these out of these 1511 people, sorry, orders, how many times people were placing one order, how many two, how many times three, how many times four? Yeah, let's do that. So I go to the data again and I go to again insert pivot table and new sheet. It's always a good idea to create a pivot table, a fresh pivot table for each of your questions, because it's linked to the original data. If you change anything here, it will affect your pivot table. So it's always a good idea to create different ones and then answer different questions separately. Question. With respect to age group, how many orders are placed for different age groups with respect to number of orders? Let's try to find that out. Our rows remain the same. We want the same information here as we had previously. So our rows remain the same age. Now our columns, we want to not have one single number here, rather we want to have 10 numbers here. How many people placed one order, two orders, three orders? So this time we add a column. And what do we want? The number of orders in a month. So as soon as you click that, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And what do you want to place? You want to place as values the number of orders in a month and their sum. And look at this. So now what you see is 18 to 30 age group was, it placed 1511 orders. But out of that, when people placed order, only 17 people placed order once. Most of the people that were placing orders 5 times or 8 times or even 10 times. So people were in this age group, people were placing more orders. Compare this to above 50, like people are not placing less orders, but once they start placing orders, then they place a lot of orders. And I quickly want to show you one third pivot table before we conclude. They place a lot of orders, but what's the average value of these orders? So I create one more pivot table, and here I say insert a pivot table. And again, my age group remains the same, number age group, but in column, I want to see the average delivery fee charged. And not the sum, but I want to see the average. And now notice here something. What do you notice here? What I notice here is that yes, the people above age 50 were not placing too many orders, but when they were placing orders, their price was highest. So the marketing team cannot just say, hey, I ignore the above 50 age group because they are not placing orders. I need to target 50 plus age group because whenever they place orders, they actually spend a lot because they have more money and maybe more requirements, more bigger families, and whatever the reason is, we don't know that from the data, but that's an important piece of information. You have all this information, now you want to showcase it to the marketing team, and that's where your last step comes in. That's where your visualizations and storytelling comes in. I covered storytelling a little bit already, that hey, you look at the data, the data from, when you look at it from number of orders point of view, a different segment is coming out. When you look at it from average spending point of view, a different piece of information is coming out, and you decide. And now let's show it a little bit more visually, because sometimes a picture speaks more than 1,000 words. So let's use that picture. And I'm coming to the first pivot table where we calculated that trend. So you select, let's say you select your data, and you go to insert, and you insert a chart. And by default, Google proposed to use pie chart, and that's exactly right, because this instantly shows us that actually 70% of our customers are in the 18 to 30 age group, and only 2.1% is in the other age group. And this is so in the face kind of information that, hey, this is the biggest customer bank that we should rely on. Let's do the similar exercise for their average spending. Do we see some major changes here? I selected the data, went to insert, to the chart, and this is another kind of chart, a column chart, which is being shown, but maybe I don't want a column chart, I still need a pie chart. So I select the chart and I go to chart style, and instead of column chart I still pick up this. And actually I see that between 56 and 51, maybe it's not that much of a difference. It's almost the same distribution, and the revenue that I'm getting is actually the same. But when you connect the two, that's the story part. So again, this chart is not telling us that focus on this age group. It's that um, story that will tell you that, hey, select that age group. One final thing is what we found here. If I plot, if I plot something here, I select the data, not the whole. I select the ages and their values, and I insert a chart. I see some column charts, but I want to see line chart. So check this out here. This is actually showing us so drastically that there is one specific age group, and that's that 18 to 30, which is dominating the market right now. And the others are actually quite lagging. I just wanted to let you know that with this exercise, you have just built your first data analytics pipeline end to end. This is exactly where our data analysis starts getting wound up. That's basically it. You started with the data collection. You did some cleaning. You did descriptive analysis, did further cleaning. You did exploratory analysis, and now you are sharing your story, you are sharing your findings. How you share that story is how much you can influence the decision makers to make a decision based on what you have found. And that's basically it, that you are now, I congratulate you on building your first pipeline, and I am now very open to get questions and looking forward to take you deeper into whatever you want to know more. I welcome you back, Will.
Let me first unmute myself. That's always good. Humera, thank you so much. I think that was really insightful. And I think it showed us exactly how to do a data analytics pipeline and also the relevance it is for businesses. And I think the step-by-step and condensing the whole overview into 1 hour, I think is just really helpful to understand, get a perspective of what it's like instead of just zooming into one part. So thank you very much. Lots of comments from the audience. If anyone does have any questions, please drop them in on the right-hand side in the chat or the Q&A. I did post that we will be sending out a recording of this webinar tomorrow via email. If you check the CareerFoundry YouTube channel, you'll also find the live stream, and we've recorded that too, so that'll be on the YouTube channel. But we will be sending it out to everybody, so no fears there. One question I wanted to pick up on earlier, and apologies if I pronounce anyone's names wrong, not intentional. Vinisha was asking, shouldn't the age brackets be 18 to 30, then 31 to 40, and 41 to 50?
That's a very good question. And that's really, you are already thinking in the right direction. That This data set actually decided to not make a difference between 30 and 31, and there might have actually been errors because of just this reason. As a data analyst, as a data collection person, you actually make this decision if you want to make this distinction or not. And I just use this public data set where they decided not to make this distinction because apparently they didn't care about the 31 and 30 part and that overlap part. But yes, you need to make that distinction, and I'll keep a note for that in the next round. Definitely.
We, we
Thank
like we like the
you.
more tricky questions. People are also asking about a shorter course. I would recommend, I'm going to post it in the chat on the right hand side. This is Career Foundry's 5-day short course. I've just shared the link. It'll take you through into a little bit more depth than we've covered in this workshop here, but we'll be touching upon some very similar topics that we've done this evening, but we'll go into a little bit more depth. So that's a great place to start off if anyone's thinking about jumping into data analytics and wants to take it a little bit further than this workshop this evening. I'm going to just plug the Career Foundry short course, and that's completely free. Suasita is asking, what tools are required to do data analysis? What tools does one need to kind of know?
That's also a very good question. I'll be very brief in this. To get started, a simple tool like Google Sheets or Excel is good enough. I have seen people, freelancers, specializing only on Excel and offering insights via making pivot tables. But as you go more deeper, as your data sets become more complex, as the analysis that you want to do becomes more complex, you would need something more for data processing, like SQL, like Python, and you would like to do something with respect to visualizations and presentations like Tableau or Power BI. So like some data processing and something for visualization are the tools that you would need.
Fantastic. I also think I'm also going to say that on the Career Foundry blog, let me just also get that link for everybody watching. We also go into the different tools that you require, and also we've got our editors kind of do some more specific articles on Python or SQL, but they've also got some more general articles there. So I'll post that too for people to have a look around.
And while you are posting, we'll just want to quickly add that the full course at Career Foundry that actually takes you through all these tools. So we start with Excel, go towards Tableau, SQL, Python. So even if you are a career changer and you have no idea about computers, it like really takes you hand holding your hand, building up on what you have learned in the first modules, building it up for the second, third, fourth, and GitHub that you would need for code sharing, etc. So this is all covered in the course.
Yeah, definitely. Sadia is also asking a question that comes up quite a lot in our data analytics live events, but do we need to know coding to be a data analyst?
No, and yes, to get started, you do not need any coding. Let's be very black and white about that. But based on how much in depth do you want to go, how I'll give you an example. If I don't know coding, the way I formatted the last column, 25 to whatever it was, 25 to 50, find, replace, all that stuff. If you would know coding, you would just write one little script that will take you through the whole code, whole file, and do all these replacements very fast. So that will come in handy. And as the problem will become more complicated, you will need coding. But to get started and for a certain level, you don't need coding.
Awesome, great answer. And Shirin is asking, what differentiates data analytics with more kind of statistical work?
Statistics can be used for data analysis. So as you noticed, there were when we did the descriptive analysis, we calculated the minimum, the average, the maximum. I would regard the minimum, average, maximum as the most simple form of statistical analysis. Now you can make it more complicated. You can now go towards, I want to find out standard deviation of my data. I want to find out variance of my data. I want to find out the first quartile, third quartile. I'm now throwing in different concepts just to showcase you that yes, these terms will come in. If you know them, they will be more handy and you will be able to do more and more complicated work. But you saw today that even by using those simple little things, and even without any statistical knowledge, you can get started. One more little thing. There is a difference between, this is another question which often comes up, and I am sure somebody asked this as well. So I'll cover this. There is a difference between data analysis and data science. Statistics is more towards data science. When you go into prediction and forecasting, data analysis is more towards present. What is in the data? Is there any trend? You try to uncover that trend. And for that, you do not need that complicated stats. You need more stats, machine learning, and all that for science, data science, where you are doing prediction and forecasting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a question that comes up a lot. I also think we've got a video on CareerFoundry's YouTube channel about that, and some blog articles too, which kind of shows the differentiation between the different paths. One person is asking about accreditation, I think, of the full program that we offer. I'll just post a link to CareerFoundry's full data analytics program. If you click down there and you go to the FAQs, you'll find more about how we're accredited, and also about payment plans and job guarantees. So please do check out the FAQs at the bottom of the main page. You'll find answers to that. One question which I think is good is from Carl. How do I become an in-demand data analyst? What are the core skills I should have as a data analyst?
Data analyst can be regarded as jack of all trades, master of one. So you saw the whole pipeline, and this pipeline has different tools associated with it. You need to know how this whole pipeline works, but then you focus on that one skill. And I leave it up to you to decide that one skill. That could be the one using Excel, Excel, or that could be the one using Python. That could be where you say, I do more data processing, and I'm not focusing on like low complexity data sets. I only want to focus on high complexity data sets. But if there is one skill that every data analyst needs, is presentation skills. You need to have very good visualization skills, because no matter how easy or complicated your data set is, you need to tell the story to the audience. And that's where you make or break your in-demandness thing. So if there is only one thing that you should focus on, that should be visualizations. How you tell a story via the data.
Definitely, and that's a great answer. Also, someone's asking, can someone who's a total beginner learn data analysis in a short time? I will answer that. The proof of the pudding is that CareerFoundry, we do that all the time. We take people from scratch and we teach them in data analytics, and we help them land a job in tech with our career services team. You're not on your own. You do get the support. I'll just post one of my favorite success stories here that we have. This was a tech recruiter who did the CareerFoundry data analytics program and is currently working in the UK at the Telegraph doing data analysis. So that's just one of our graduates spotlighted there. We have got others on the website that you can find out. I'll just go back into the questions again, Q&A. I did see one question from Mohammed that I would like to answer. Mohammed wanted to know, I want to know if I want to proceed it as a career. I have a strong background in statistics and maths, but I'm from an engineering background. So what steps should I pursue? I think Mohammed, you've got some great transferable skills already there. I don't know, Humera, what would you think?
It depends on what engineering you have done. If it's more IT and computers, then you have a huge um, scope in or flexibility in going whichever dimension you want. If it's more of another kind of engineering, like um, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, you can actually apply your data analytics skills on that domain as well, because domain expertise is indeed very important. And if let me assume that it's more computer science or more computer engineering, then you have the option to either go for more back-end research side, or you can go into deployment and building system side. So research would mean doing more prototyping, trying out different methods, trying out different machine learning models or different models. And engineering would mean how do you fit that into memory? How do you pick the right features and deploy fast? And then the third thing that you can do is, as an engineer, see if you have front end experience. Then you deploy those things into with respect to front end. So really depends on your expertise that you already have and the interests that you have.
Definitely. I think everybody has a very specific case. We have lots of students as well with many different backgrounds. And with those many different backgrounds come also lots of different perspectives, but also lots of different transferable skills. And as we know, data analytics, there's not just one career path, it can lead you into an avenue of many different career paths. So all of that gained experience that you have, whether it be academic or professional, this will all go into the presentation that you'll have in front of an employer when you're trying to land that job. And this kind of leads into a question that Carl's also asking. Can I learn everything about data analysts by self-study using your instructions on the CareerFoundry YouTube channel? Obviously, there are loads and loads of free resources online, and I mean, it's great. Anything which is going to help you get there is fantastic. There's also some great free resources. What we do at CareerFoundry, though, is that we pair you with a mentor and a tutor, just like Humera, so an industry expert and a tutor going through your submissions that you do as you progress through the program. What you're building as you're going through the program is a professional portfolio. So you're going to be working on this together with your mentor and tutor, making sure it's absolutely perfect so that when you get to the stage that you land that job interview, which you're prepped for by our career services team, you'll be able to present your journey and all of the projects that you've built up whilst doing the program. So this is the support network that we offer at CareerFoundry. You can go it alone. People have done. I'm sure you'll find videos on YouTube too. But our students thrive with the support that we offer during the CareerFoundry program. And what's more, when you're a student, you're part of a cohort of students. So we have a great community team. We've got Slack channels, we've got internal events, and lots of opportunities to network and build out your network before you jump into the job preparation course that we offer also in-house, and before you start applying for those jobs too. So it really is the full package. It's a 360-degree support from the mentor, tutor, our career services team. So that's what we offer at CareerFoundry. Now, I know there are free options that you'll find, but just to differentiate the two, just in case there was nobody who didn't quite understand. I feel like I'm going into a bit of a monologue.
I want to actually add one thing here, Will. There are definitely free programs, and I have actually went through the way, not for data analysis, but for others that, hey, why should I take a course? I can learn it myself. There's so much material out there. It's basically you are trading time for money. If you can do something with a tutor, mentor, support in 6 months, without them, it might take you 1 year, 2 years to reach the same level. So it's definitely sometimes you need to make that trade-off, that do you have that much time at your hand to spare? What will happen in 2 years? The market would change. Or do you want that urgency and you want to take you grow with the group? Having said that, if you really want to go solo, one thing which is very important is people need to look at your portfolio. What Will just mentioned, ultimately the outcome of this course is also going to be you build a portfolio that you can show that, hey, I have worked on these many projects and did analysis for that. So if you decide to go solo, look for projects and build your own portfolio. It will be much easier if you join a course with support, but if not, then focus on that.
Fantastic. And I'll take a couple of more questions. So I'm mindful of the time for this session. One question, should I learn and master Excel or Google Sheets as a beginner?
Yes.
Which one, or is there one? Is there a preference, or either or?
If you have Excel, go for it. If you don't have Excel, don't buy it. Google Sheets are free. Go for Google Sheets. Google Sheets cannot handle too much data. It's a free online service. With Excel, you can handle much more data at the same time. But to begin with, you don't need to work on that much data. So Google Sheet is a good start.
Yesenia is also asking, any suggestions on overcoming fear of public speaking if presentations need to be successful in this career? I'll just answer briefly and then I'll pass it over to Humera. I always find with presenting, be 120% prepared. So make sure that you know your presentation, but also think about questions which could come up. And then if it's a difficult presentation, always present in front of family or friends or a few colleagues first before you present to a larger group. I find that kind of makes me a lot more calm. That's just my tip. So Humera, you might have some different advice.
Nay, I would exactly start with these 2 points. First, just speak in front of people, a smaller set of people that you trust, be it your team, be it your family, or be it your close trusted members. Or sometimes it's easier to just present not in terms of people that you know, but in terms of total random strangers. So but just make the effort to start speaking, and preparation is the key. Remember, whenever you talk about something, remember you are the one who knows the most about that thing. Even if your point of view is different from others, what you are saying, that's your knowledge that nobody else has. So prepare yourself and grab every opportunity that you can to speak up. And it doesn't matter if you mess out. It doesn't matter if you don't know the answer. It doesn't matter. I don't know. I don't know is a very valid answer. I can find out. I, I, that these are totally valid answers. So don't worry about that.
I think also sometimes you think, oh no, I haven't done a great job presenting that. And then you speak to people after the presentation and they say, oh, what a great presentation you did. So it's sometimes you can be a little bit, sometimes people or yourself, you can be the worst critic sometimes of what your own performance, when actually other people think it's, you've done actually a great job. So don't be too hard on yourself, I think is also one takeaway. Just to round it up, Abdul is asking, after taking your course, can we stay connected with you for lifetime? Yes, you do have lifelong access to career services and the networks at CareerFoundry afterwards, after graduation. So that's part of the package. Humera, thank you so much for presenting this evening. I think that was a really, really valuable workshop. I think it always is. We always have a great audience and great questions. But as I said before, I think it's fantastic to go through the full process right from the start to the finish to give people an idea, a kind of a flavor of what it is to be working as a data analyst. So thank you again for presenting this evening, and thanks to the audience. One thing I will say, I know August is just about to close, but we are offering partial scholarships this August and just into next week too. So we're offering scholarships worth up to $1,195 off the full price of the data analytics program. If you've got any questions about that partial scholarship or the program or the curriculum or the job guarantee or payment options, I would recommend clicking the sticky note and booking a call with a program advisor. They're all super, super friendly, and they are there waiting to take your questions about the scholarship, but also about the program and everything that we offer at CareerFoundry. And with that said, thank you everybody for joining. We've got some great events lined up, so please check out the CareerFoundry events page. We're also going to be having some women in tech panels next month. So we've invited an array of speakers all over the world who are going to be doing 2 panels. And next week, if anyone's interested in UX design, I'm going to be talking with Sarah, who is a UX designer who's now working at the BBC in London, who did the CareerFoundry UX design program, which is a completely different thing, but I think I'll just mention it anyway. So Humera, thanks once again, and everyone have a great evening or morning, wherever you are, and we'll see you again next time.
Thank you very much. Bye.